that many of you have gotten. We were driving the car one day, all of the alarm lights went off on the console, and I can't remember the code exactly. I think it was the P0742 code or 41, or I can't remember, but anyway, it told us that it was getting too rich of a fuel mixture. So I got online, did my research, and turns out that this is a fairly common problem with the 2017 to 2022 Honda CRV. And swapping out the fuel injectors will fix the issue. So the issue that I had is that the Honda fuel injectors right now are on national back order. And they've been back ordered for like the last 8 months or 9 months. So I ended up, against my better judgment, but I don't know what else to do. I gotta get my car registered, and I can't get it registered without fixing this issue. So long story short, I bought a third-party fuel injector. It has good reviews, so we'll see how it goes. But I'm gonna take you through this job step by step. Let's get started. Actually, you can take the battery out all the way, and then this has got to come off. You know, all these tubes and clamps. And then I'll start working back behind, and I'll give you a good shot of that. But for right now, I have the camera positioned in front just so you can see this work. Okay, now that I have the battery out, it gives me a little breathing room. I'll just pop this guy off here real quick. Okay, now I'll just set this piece aside. Alright, the next thing I'm going to do, if you can see this large hose right here, that my finger's touching, my middle finger right here, that needs to disconnect right here, and there's just a hose clamp on that. So I'm just going to loosen that bolt right there on the hose clamp and then pull that off, and we'll go from there. And sorry, I can't hold the camera while I do it, so just know that that's what I'm working on, and I'll try to give you the best angle I can. But this stuff is kind of in the way. I'm just using the flathead to just kind of break the seal. Oh, this one's not bad. There it goes. Next thing I want to do is like get this fuel line disconnected, and I need to undo, like I'm going to take off this whole piece. So I got to undo all these little wire harnesses and stuff. So yeah, I'll just start doing that right now. This piece is tricky to get, so go slow, be careful, don't break the plastic pieces, and if you do, it's not the end of the world. Just go to the dealer, get a replacement, but try not to. It's super frustrating when you break the little plastic pieces. You can see it lifts up this way. It's got a hook that comes up like this, so with one screwdriver you got to push it in, and with the other screwdriver you got to kind of pry up the mechanism that's going over it like this. So anyway, I hope that makes sense, but you'll know what I mean when you see it. There it goes. Some of these don't want to come off. Sometimes on these hose clamps, they just don't want to come off. They're stuck pretty good. And rather than just fighting with it and possibly damaging it, I'm just going to slide this back down into place. And I'm going to disconnect the other end where I've got a little bit better angle. I can see it better with more surface area, so it's less likely to rip. There, I did it. So I was basically putting my screwdriver like here and then pushing it like this, prying it this way, just trying to get it unstuck. Slide this off. It's on here like this and it rotates, and if you just push down on this part, it'll just kind of rotate down and then you can take it off. And that gives you access to this fuel line clip. Alright, I'm now removing the bolts holding this plastic piece on. There's not very many. There's 4 or 5 total. It's a mix of nuts and bolts. There's one. It's that easy. It's frustrating. Anyway, I wasn't originally going to take this hose off, but it looks like it'll just give me a lot more room if it's just out of my way completely. I typically leave these attached on one side or the other when I take hoses off, but this guy is just going to be in the way. There's a bunch of bolts that I have to get around it, and I just didn't want to deal with it. I was not expecting that. Okay. Okay, that is a process to get that thing out. Holy cow. There it is. That guy right there. So the problem is you have to pinch it from both sides and from the front and back simultaneously to get it to pop out. So what I figured out is if you pinch the sides and then depress the clip in the front and kind of tilt it after it goes through, and then hit the back side. Ah, there it goes. Man, that is a difficult job. Okay, got that out. The thing you're going to need the most of in this job is just patience. Especially if you're like me and you've never done this before. Engineers over at Honda figured out how to make this as hard as possible. Thank you. Okay, there's these two, I'll show it to you when I get it out, but there's these two like plastic posts. These, you just have to reach around and pull on them. But yeah, just pull and they pop off and get this out. Obviously don't damage it, you need to put that back on. So now that that foam thing's gone, I can see. Alright, I gotta take the camera off for this so that you can see what I'm seeing. So I'm underneath this plastic piece, but if you look carefully, let's see here, I'll get my light on it, is a hole, and I can see my ratchet. See if I move it, you can see it moving in there. So just heads up, on the top of this you have little like windows in there to help you see what you're doing. So just thought I'd share that little nugget. Sorry for the shaking camera. Oh. Oh. And there's another window in the top of this plastic piece where I can see this bolt. So this isn't so hard. That was a pain in the toot. Okay. I'll just shine the light on it this way. It's like right. Yep, there it is. You can see that bolt just above and to the right of what this clip. Alright, first one. Sorry for the crappy camera angle, but there's not really a great view I can do of this with it on the stand. Oh my goodness, I got it. And just in case you're wondering, that was in there like this. Can you see it? Yeah. And then the 4 bolts I was taking out are these 4 right here. You've got these 3 in the top and these 2 in the bottom, and then these 4 on this side, and you're free. And you have to take off that foam thing. So there is my fuel rail. The light's right on it right now. Now you'll see there's all those bolts. Let's see if I can get my hand in here. There are bolts, and I have to take all those bolts out, and then the whole rail will come out. All right, I probably shouldn't do this, but I'm going to get the camera in there kind of upside down, but just to orient yourself, I'm at the front of the car here, and I'm gonna come in, up and over, and there's the fuel rail. You can see it here. So there is a bolt here that needs to be removed. I think there's another one right there. Two 10mm bolts. You can see I already got all these bolts out, and there's a nut on this one. There's also a nut on that one right there, and I don't know why. And then you've got the like the fuel line that feeds. Oh, come on, that feeds this. That's this guy right here. Whoops. That's a 19mm wrench. So I'm gonna loosen that, and then I should be able to pull this out, and that'll expose. Oh, there's also a connector down here, like an electrical. Come on. I don't think you can see it, but there's an electrical connector that you're gonna have to undo. Oh, it's supposed to be two. I only have one on mine. Well, that's gonna bug me. I'm definitely gonna go and get that bolt and replace it, because there's supposed to be two here. God, I wonder if this has been done before. That's interesting. No, that's the one I took out. Oh, that's funny. I took this one out before I took off that foam piece, so that goes right there. Holds that bracket on. Perfect. All right, 19mm wrench. In the fuel rails where the injectors go, there's a little electrical clip on every single one of those. It's just like a regular clip. You just push it like on the top, and then it just, the whole thing pulls off. That's the best I can explain it. I'm gonna stick it in there, and I'm gonna twist the screwdriver rather than prying the whole screwdriver. Hopefully it doesn't pull. Oh, there it goes. It just came right out. Okay. Well, that wasn't so bad. Came out on this side. Now I gotta get over this stud. A little bit of gas, but it came out. A little bit. You'll smell gas. A little bit of gas will leak out of there. These pull out. These clips that you see here on the top. Let me just show you how those go on. So you orient the fuel injector with the wire clip receiving harness on the bottom, and then this guy just comes right in here, and these little side clamps, there's a little flat spot on there for the side clamps to go, and it just fits in just like that. So one more time, you just put it on just like that, and it'll clip into place. You'll feel it kind of snap. Easy to do. Okay, so that's 2 out of 4. Let's get this guy on the end. You can just see him poking out. I'm just gonna grab him, just kind of wiggle and pull. Oh my gosh, there it goes. As always, don't want to break a plastic piece. God, I wish they would design these engines so that people could work on them, but they don't do that. They design these so that you'll be too intimidated by the job, and you'll take it to the dealer so they can make more money off of you. It's engineered in such a way that it's extremely difficult to work on yourself. I shouldn't say extremely difficult. I mean, this isn't extremely difficult. It's just intimidating to work on by yourself, and that bothers me. I don't think that's right. I don't think they should do that. There it goes. Boy, they make that last one a real beast. 4 fuel injectors removed. Let's check out new ones. So they don't come with new clips, so make sure to save all your clips that are holding them in. So here's the new one. Yeah, you can see that tip, how much cleaner that is. You can see all the little holes on it. It's looking good. So yeah, that's what ships. And it's got all these rings and everything. These boots are brand new. This is looking good. So I'll just slide these in, oriented this way. Hopefully they just pop in, and I need to clean up the fuel rail, and I'll wipe out, there was like some dirt that kind of got in these air intake holes, so I'm going to get a cloth and clean that and wipe it really well. So before I do that, before I put in these fuel injectors, let's just clean. You guys are going to laugh at me, but I'm going to get some ballastol to wipe up, to clean up these mating surfaces. You'll laugh because if you've watched my videos, you know how much I love ballastol. Sweet, sweet ballastol. So I want to clean up these gaskets. And those mating surfaces are nice and clean. I don't see any debris on them, or dust, or dirt. Just keeping everything nice and clean with this ballastol. Now, I think we're ready to start putting this thing back together. It definitely seats better when you put just a little bit, and I mean a little, like just barely putting it on the cloth and then dabbed it on there. Now getting this back in, I'm somewhat nervous about because of that 90-degree angle fuel line. All I have to do is tap in this fuel rail. So without further ado, I wonder if I can just get it the rest of the way with like bolts. But I did get the fuel line lined up, so that was the part I was the most concerned about. So I'm just tightening that screw on there. I'll put the bolts in, and that'll just kind of suck it in, I think. So I don't have to hit it with the mallet, because that is, I don't know why, it just worries me. I just don't want it to get damaged or break. A little stiff. I'll use the ratchet on that. Now I did these in order. I have these bolts and screws and the two nuts all in the order that I took them out in. I don't know if that's really important. That's what I did. It's kind of like, I guess, the same thing as when you change your tires. Some people like to keep the same lug nuts on the same studs, and I really don't know if that's important or not, but I did it just out of an abundance of caution. Alright, I haven't tightened these at all, so the fuel rail is still not seated all the way. I'm just putting all these in so I can tighten all of them just, you know, a little bit at a time. I don't know what the specified torque is on these, so I'm not tightening them down really hard. I'm just gonna look up online real quick what how many foot-pounds I'm supposed to do on each of these, and then I'll get my torque wrench out and finish it up. Alright, well, I looked online. I didn't find it. I probably could have spent a few more minutes, but this job's already taken me longer than I wanted it to, so these weren't on just really tight. They were snugged, but just barely. So I'm just gonna put them on to a similar tightness that I loosened them from and call it good. But if anybody knows or can find what these are supposed to be torqued to, throw it in the comments so that other people can see, and that could help everybody out. Okay, those are in. Now let's get these electronic harnesses back in. Should be fairly easy. I gotta tighten down with my 19mm wrench the fuel line. Don't forget to do that. That could be a disaster. Leaking fuel everywhere, which I would generally frown upon. So they're pretty tight. I'm just going to give it one more, not overkill, but just, yep, that's it. That's it. Just want that seated really tightly so it's not leaking. Boy, I'll tell you, a mirror sure comes in handy. I would definitely recommend. And I don't even have the best one. Mine's just a handheld one. But if you had one like on one of those sticks that you could hold in there, that'd be my recommendation to make this job a little easier. That is definitely the right order. There's a stud on the one side. I got it lined up with that. And then on this side, there's those 4 bolts. And just a little tip that I think is useful, so that I don't drop nuts and bolts, I put them in my socket first, and then I put my thumb on there to just hold it while I get it in position. It doesn't always work, but I definitely drop fewer stuff than when I don't do that. I'm looking through these little windows here. It helps me see what I'm doing. It's easier to feed all the bolts through when none of them are tightened all the way, because then you have wiggle room. Holy moly! Whew! Alright, all 4 of those finger tight. Now I can tighten it all up. So I'll start with those 4. Oh, there, I can see it. Boy, that's a tough angle, but take your time, get your head in just the right position, get a light, and you'll be able to see it too. That's tight. Okay, so I did top right, bottom left. Let's do bottom right and then top left. But again, just be patient. Holy cow. Alright, now top left. Last one. Okay, those are on. Now I can swap back over to my 12 and tighten on the rest of those bolts on that like manifold. And on the stud here. Okay. Now again, I'm not going to kill it. I'm going to snug it, and that's it. So, manifold is on. The new fuel injectors are in. Those harnesses are clipped on the fuel injectors, and now I just got to put this foam guy. Now this just clips right on the fuel rail, and you line it up with these 2 top tabs. Let me get that on here. I've got the top tabs lined up. I'm not going to push them in yet. I got one clipped. Got the other clipped. And I got these tabs. Okay, that went substantially easier than I thought it would. That wasn't so bad. Just take your time. Again, use a mirror. That's really helpful. Make sure you're actually clipping it on the fuel rail. It's kind of hard to tell. Hey, we're making progress here. I have wasted the last hour and a half trying to get this little green clip. This is the retaining clip for the gas line. I dropped mine in there and had to get my little scope out, my little wire scope, to find it. Finally found it. So now I can continue on. Now let's see if I can get this back on that line without dropping it. There it is. Now it's on. If I hadn't dropped that clip, I think I might have already been done by now. Hallelujah, I'm making progress again. That feels good. Okay. I don't understand that. Let's make a bracket. And on one side it's 12mm bolts, and on the other side it is 10mm bolts. Here's a novel idea, guys. You say we make a bracket with all the bolts the same size. Just my 2 cents. What do I know? Make sure and double check that you get this hose seated all the way. You should have a visual on it, you know? Just make sure. Just gonna check one more time for wire harnesses. Just want to make sure I got everything. Otherwise, You'll have a warning light and it may not even work. Put this guy back on. It's got that peg that goes right there.